because they're giving me a character of their loved one who is either passed on or that is, still living, and I paint about the life of the diagnosis. I don't paint about the diagnosis. And one of them is also, even though they tell me what their diagnosis is, I don't share what the diagnosis is when I post it on social media, because I believe that that's up to the family. Now, there are instances where there are preventable diseases, issues, whether it's like, heart attack at a young age, overdose, things like that. And I encourage, the families to share their story, because it can help somebody. So, hey, I was having these symptoms. Oh, wow, me too, me too. So let me go ahead and get that checked out. And put it on the communities. Some are a little bit more outspoken as far as their health concerns. But I know in Black and brown communities, we're still we don't really talk about those things. So it's my job, mission to kind of get people to just share. Because a lot of times they don't. And one of the things with the images is it's permanent. They have that permanent remembrance of that person, how they saw it. So you never see me do a painting when they're in a hospital bed, just sunken eyes on the face, but usually in a positive light. And I'll ask, like, hey, tell me a couple adjectives about your loved one. And they give me a couple pictures, and then usually there's something on those pictures that says, okay, this person is known for, whether it's a pair of earrings or a necklace or a cowboy hat. So then when the family sees it, they're like, oh man, that reminds me, such and such. There was one gentleman, her older brother passed on cancer, and one of his favorite things was playing the numbers. So she told me what his favorite lottery numbers were, so I added that to the picture. And just, some memorable, things. There was one lady, her husband had passed a heroin overdose. And so I delivered the picture over there, and he had 3 kids. One of them was like, 2 years old. Immediately when he saw the picture, he was like, Daddy, that's Daddy. And like I said, when those interactions were like, wow, this is, yeah.
How did you get to this stage? How did you decide to do this? What was your path in?
So I've always been into like social stuff, doing something that's different than what you would normally expect. So like somebody passes, people mourn, funeral, okay, what else can I do? What can I do to help celebrate this person? So I got a vision one day, and it was like, hey, I want you to go paint, go to James Cancer Center. I had a friend that was in there, take yourself up there and sit there and paint with her. And so I've been learning a lot about, especially like ones that have cancer, a lot about cancer. Like they're not just in there for an hour and out. They're in there for 6 hours sometimes. So just being able to go in there and allow them to escape what they're going through and experience, painting, taking their mind off of it, it's wonderful. I got the name, my wife, she's a smart one. So I was like, hey, can you write something up, kind of descriptive of what I want to do. And so it kind of just took off from there. And we started in September. To date, we are up to 50 paintings. And all across the country, we have one up from Phoenix to Virginia, Dallas. And one of the things is, as an artist, I am the untypical artist. So an artist can say, hey, I will paint this picture for you. It's going to take me 2 months to do it. My process time is literally a day or 2 days at the most. Then, like I said, we do the reveal, and a lot of these paintings have been at the funerals. They put them up at the wake, with the pictures up. And so, like I said, the exchange is just this emotional time to see somebody who's going through cancer. We did Sunday. We took the painting up there to the hospital. Her eyes just lit up, and she was in like severe pain. But for that moment, it's like, wow, okay. Because the arts have helped heal me growing up, as a survivor of child abuse. So I know that art can help, is a great healing tool. And my perspective on it is a little different. Like, you see the stuff in textbook, like, well, paint how you feeling, a bunch of red colors and yellow colors. I was like, well, that's not really a picture. So just being able to allow them just to escape, and it's been extremely rewarding for me because I don't charge the recipients at all. Like people will nominate, but hey, it's no charge. Wherever we do take donations because it can help fund the next
Do you
one.
have a grant that helps you do this?
I applied for one. Grants take a long time to go through, so I gotta wait till December. It was a nice, easy grant. It was easy to read and understand. Because some grants you're like, what is this word mean? It's like vocabulary and spelling words. So we've covered anywhere from suicide, just about every other cancer you can think of.
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence. A lot of that was one of those to cover some of the hidden wounds. So there's a couple of soldiers, they have PTSD. And one of the ladies, she said her husband, he was in Kuwait and Iraq, and I was asking, because starts if you want to get it right. So if I say, hey, what branch of the military was he in? I don't want to put him in if he said Army, I don't want to put him in a Marine outfit. And so I looked up, the Kuwait logo at the time, I put that on there, and his wife came back and said, hey, Iraq wasn't such a good time for him, so could you not put that one on there? And so everything is customized to, how the individual wants it, and just for him to be able to see it and hold it, it helps because it helps start conversation.
How do you get these people?
A lot of times I'll just be on Facebook and let's say, I'll see somebody's picture like 50,000 people done comment about this person. Who was this individual? And so I'll read comments, and sometimes I'm like, wow, this person was really, 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 truly, truly loved. Let me reach out to the family. Say, hey, some are like, it's too soon. Some of them will come back like, maybe a month or so later, like, hey, I would love to bless you with, customized Strokes for Life, art piece. And all I do is take a picture with them, us together, get a couple of people looking at the painting, I post, and then my job is done. Because once it's not my story, it's theirs. It's their art. And so when you said, hey, can you bring in a couple of people to share, some of those are real intimate, private moments. So some are like, okay, well, what I have, but I'm not really ready to share, what it is I'm going through, or about that moment. And so it's opened up eyes, because one thing, when you're going through, it doesn't matter, what, black, white, gray, yellow, pink, purple, everybody wants to feel better. And even pets. I have a couple of pets in there, the dog passed away, and like, oh, we love Fido. He's been in our family for 20 years. So just to have that peace. And so one thing we did with the Coleman Race for the Cure, we set up and said, hey, because I help out every year, just doing the warm up, getting everybody energized and stuff. I said, hey, I want to do live art around the finish line. So what we did, we took 2 big pieces. That's one of them right there. The other one I donated to another organization. But as the survivors came along, we pulled it to the side. It was like, hey, I would like for you to help paint this painting with us. And to see them, paint, and some of them couldn't, because I didn't realize it's about chemotherapy. A lot of times it affects the joints, so they really couldn't hold it. So the families came in like, hey, can I paint this as well? And just be able to see them as their own little strokes for life, because it's all about getting them, involved and things like that. They kind of take their mind off of it, because they hear enough all day, like, oh, how you feeling? Sometimes they want some positive energy, like, come on, help me paint this painting. Let's paint this painting. And then one of the ladies, her grandson was probably like 2 years old. She sent us a message the other day, like, hey, you inspired my grandson. He has to stop painting since. He's moved away from Paw Patrol, now into just painting different stuff. I was like, those moments, that's what it's about. Testimonies from it. And you leave there a lot of times exhausted, because that friends that work in the medical field, or social workers, when they get off work, they're like dead tired, because they're carrying all this weight from the individual that they're dealing with, and they're trying to make them better. Because I want to get it right. Because if I present something to you, you're like, I want to get this right. So I'm always nervous. Like, oh man, I hope they like make sure I send a little pre-sketch first, like, all right, is this good? Like, all right. You know, and then
Mark, tell us about yourself as an artist. Did you study art?
Yes, I went to VEED, Fort Hayes.
Ah,
Actually, I studied art,
yes.
class of 1993. Best decision ever when I got into the advanced placement art class. And one of the things that I learned as artists, a lot of times we are one-sided all the way up into adulthood. Until we come across some seasoned veterans who can look at our stuff and be like, yeah, that's nice, yeah. However, you need to work on X, Y, and Z. This is all that foundation stuff. So it was critical that we did foundation stuff. And we had an art project where we had to pick an era of art. And we had to do an art piece kind of similar to that style. So I picked the Harlem Renaissance era and a gentleman by the name of Jacob Lawrence. And I painted, you know, kind of like my style, and then pretty much that's who my inspiration was.
Does that manifest itself in a painting like this?
Yeah, so if you look at some of his work with the colors and stuff.
Yeah, tell us about this.
Okay, so my style is called Urban Abstract Expressionism. Now there's a lot of abstract
expressionism.
Yes, ma'am. So there's a lot of abstract work. You're looking like, okay, what is that? Mine is pretty much, you can recognize it. And I believe in just taking a certain snapshot. So if you were to stand for me. So most people would just draw him just like that. Me, I would take, okay, I'm gonna draw half his nose with the glasses on in the lanyard and make a whole complete piece from that. Just take it from different angles because I don't want to be a carbon copy of anybody. I'm a strong proponent of originality. And in this day and age with social media and things like that, everybody, a lot of people are doing the same similar work. So if a famous celebrity dies, all 12 main artists are doing the same exact painting. So when I, choose to do happy subjects.
Now tell us again, this is so fascinating.
Thank you.
What happened here? I see
So that is a cancer patient, and the piece of actually is my last chemo. So she's ringing the bell. The chemo
ready
bell.
for the last cancer patient.
So she's
If
ringing
you
the
would
chemo
put it
bell.
against the door back there, we could see all of it because the table's in the way we can only see half.
I can rock that. Yeah.
How's
I
that?
can rock that.
Is that acrylic?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, you're great. Right.
Oh, that's
Hope nobody
good.
comes to the door.
Don't want anything to
Well,
happen.
nobody's come to that, so I'd be scared.
It's a closet.
Well, you
It's
know,
so beautiful. I love it.
So yes, it is acrylic paint. I have no patience for oil. And everything I do is on wood. I believe that the wood adds another kind of element to it, almost gives it a three-dimensional viewpoint. But also with this style of work, depending on if you are a right side of the brain or left side of the brain, usually within the first comments of what they give, I can kind of tell where they work. So like if you're a banker, things like that, where everything's is black and white, there's no gray area. A lot of them will see like the structure and the lines and the shapes. And then your traditional artists, they see all the other little things and they're like, oh my God, the colors and the vibration. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I was going for.
Now, could you go up to that and point out to us what you did? And then we'll go to your flash drive. But it would just be wonderful to see this one as you painted it.
So my process of doing work, I literally go back to foundation. So I sketch it out first. I literally fold the paper up 2 times, and I make a grid. And then I do the same thing on here. I 4 lines, and then whatever's in the boxes, I put on there. Because when I was younger, all my artwork was always like either to one side or the left. So then I had to go back to that foundation. And I still use that to this day. And then the colors, I've always liked colors. Color came natural, which later on I realized that color is a hard thing to teach to artists who don't really understand color. So luckily that came natural, and I believe in using bold lines. And so with this style of work, it doesn't matter what color palette your house is, it goes with anything. As And also because it involves colors, you're gonna buy, you're gonna wanna buy more than just one. And
So do you draw that whole thing on there?
yes, ma'am. So it's literally sketch it out first. Usually I'm like, okay, sketch it out. Oh, no, I don't like that one. Sketch it out, and I don't like that one. So my wife knows not to throw any crumpled up paper away. I got a box and I just throw everything in there. She knows it because I'll come back like, man, did you see that sketch that had an ad on it? I needed that. So I don't throw anything away. Because you do go back to it. So if it's work that I've already done and put out, and say somebody buys it and they want that, somebody else wants the same one, I still have the original sketch. And I can go ahead and redo that one. Now, when it comes to original work, I say, hey man, I want an original piece. That means it's yours. It will never be recreated. I have one of those little forms. Hey, this is original. This is when it was done. X, Y, and Z. And then I make sure I go through at least 2 or 3 rough drafts, agreements first. Okay, are you sure? Or what colors do you want on there? Or what words? You say, hey, okay, well tell me a couple adjectives about your love. And sometimes I'll add that on there to kind of give it that extra element. Because it's all about whatever I see in writing and just bringing it to life. And I'll go on Facebook. And especially if they have a lot of character, that's real easy. But they got a big bushy beard and some glasses and a hat. That makes it so much easier. So yeah. And I get in my zone, I have to have music. Usually my wife, I'm like, I'm painting. She'll kind of give me space, whatever, let me do my thing. Because I'll be in the zone. So remember back in school when you had finals week, everything's thrown off, sleep thrown off, eating habits is thrown off. Same thing if I'm doing like 5 things in 1 week, everything's thrown off. Like I'm eating crazy and sleeping crazy. But then once I'm done, I'm like, all right, me and go to rest and then right back at it. So I get the next nomination, or I'm searching through Facebook and things like that. Some nowadays organizations. So organizations, they'll be this size because it's so huge. Right now, I'm kind of sketching out one for firefighters, because firefighters are starting to come out. They have a high rate of suicide. First responders in general, they start to come out more. There's a firefighter goes to the gym, who's telling me stories. I didn't realize, wow, man, I want to do something for firehouse about that. And so those are the kind of stories that I kind of gravitate to, or listen like, hey, a lot of people are like, you do that for us? Like, yeah, but we just live in a society where we're selfish. We don't want to do anything. And sometimes as artists, we say, hey, okay, man, can you do some free work for me, or for, I'm gonna donate this piece. Usually something old. I do each piece as though y'all didn't pay me $1,000, because that's what they want. They love their loved one that much. I don't want to give them some piece, and family members were like, that don't look like her. So yeah, I can go to some of these slides.
Well, anybody have any questions or?
Yeah, I'd like to hear a little bit more about your journey. So Fort Hayes, then where did things go?
Let's see, Fort Hayes. So I went to CCAD for like 2 days. But then I realized a lot of work I did at CCAD, we did at Fort Hayes in advanced placement. And then for me, I believe in a lot of individuality. And so I kind of got it from CCAD. This is my personal experience. They weren't really kind of preaching individuality. And so just from there, just over the years, just cultivating the style. As far as abstract style, that's pretty much fairly new. I think in the last 12 years, when I was like, let me go from the curve, let me kind of just do some, jagged lines. And then it kind of cultivated from there. And so I keep all my old stuff, old sketchbooks, because you want to be able to look at that and see how much you progressed. So when parents kind of like, oh, my son or daughter, likes to draw. Now I had very, very strict, not the best constructive criticism instructor, but that's what you want though. And so when I'm looking at a young kid that's doing art, I can give them that foundation. Like, hey, I want you to work on, your composition. I want you to fill this whole page. So next time I see you, I'm gonna look at your work. Just keep everything.
Well, let's go to the flash drive that you put together for us.
Yes. So this is actually my uncle. He lives down in Franklin, Virginia, way down in the country, where they have 2 stoplights. So he's had different cancers. You know, the doctor said he wouldn't make it. So he rides horses and stuff. He owns a horse club, so that's his therapy. And so when it presented that to him, you know, he's busted out crying. And all the things, he always wore the little chain in the pictures that my wife
Mark, you
sent
want
me.
to get up next to that so we can see you as well as, yeah, that would be great. Can everybody see? Yeah, great.
So all these are different recipients. Each one kind of has a different story to it. Now, this is my good friend Ed. He lost his wife after like 47 years. And when I took the picture over to him, just instant tears. And being able to actually sit down with them, allow them to just talk. Because sometimes, you know, once, you know, the funeral's over with, like you said, that afterwards, that's when it really hits you. And so just being able to talk to him, and this is at the Coleman at the Coleman office. So this is my very, very first client. Alicia, she's had breast cancer, lung cancer in the James. So I literally took my little table up there. I painted with her the whole time. So it took me 3 hours. She was up there for 6 hours. So we were kind of just talk. So for her to see my process and also to see what she goes through. So a little cool. This guy lives in Dallas. I DJ on the side, so one of my buddies said that he was almost at the end, and I reached out, and he overnighted the picture to the guy and just lifted up his spirits.
Do you have contact with these people after the fact or no?
Some I do, like some I don't even know. I'll just reach out to them. A lot of them I'm still, you know, friends with. So whenever I post something, they'll, you know, hit the like button or they'll comment. So this is the Army veteran. He has PTSD still, battling through some of the things. This is at the race for correct. Starting line 51. That's like one young lady. She has sickle cell. She had all her life, but she finally decided to speak about it. And she's been able to connect with other individuals that are still battling the same thing. This is on Sunday.
And that's a different style, isn't it? Looking, I mean, I'm seeing that you it's just different as it poses itself, more realistic. I mean, what?
Yeah, each one is kind of different sometimes because it also depends on the type of picture that the family may send me.
Uh-huh.
Her dog had passed away. And they're gonna find out he had a brother dog, and so usually, I guess when one dog dies, because it's been together so long, the other one unfortunately usually passes away. Like it passes literally like the next week. So this lady, her husband had died of overdose, and those are her sons. So her son, one of the eldest, the youngest one, as soon as I walked in the house, it was like, "That's Daddy! That's Daddy!" And this picture right, this was NBC4, Mike Jackson. So there's a story behind Mike Jackson. This was when the Olympics were here. I did a whole series, and I had emailed like 20 different news outlets. I didn't know where it was at. And he was the one who called me up and said, "Hey man, we love your work. You want to come out there the story. So he kind of helped give me that extra boost in getting my heart out there. And then when I found out that he had a stroke and heart attack, you know, I was like, okay, I got definitely have to get back to him. So they came out, did the interview, and then they presented it to him. And it was
Mark, where's your studio and how big is it?
my studio is my room, or it used to be the kitchen table, but you know, being married, that didn't last too long. I got one speck of paint on the table. I had to go move my stuff.
Yeah.
But I've always been like that. Like some artists need like big studio and all the space stuff. So this is a coach over at South High School. He just had colon cancer surgery. He's back on the mend. Kind of found out he was one of my former, him and his wife, they were former dance students. They used to teach dance stuff. So I looked at it, I was like, you and your wife were in my class years ago. So you never know. Her dog had passed, and she's battling diabetes. Emotional support animal. So she lives in Cleveland. Her brother loved the Broncos, Scarface, and the Simpsons. Like I said, so to the outside person, like, what does that mean? But to the family, they understand. Breast cancer survivor, her coworker surprised her at her job. His mom just passed away like last week.
Tanya?
Mm-hmm.
Mama's from there.
So these are some of the survivors having pain. They were allowed to go outside the lines because as an artist, we know how to go over stuff that. So this is my cousin Lathea. She is paralyzed from the waist up, and so she's one of those sticks that kind of don't communicate. So I painted with her, and I took a step inside her shoes. So I put paintbrush in my mouth and was helping her paint. This is during Christmas time. Like some of these stories they deal with, suicide, grief.
I might have missed the beginning, but what made you decide to do paintings for people with cancer and like you said, things like that, passion to do that?
So I believe everybody, especially within the arts, everybody has some sort of talent, but also I'm a firm believer in God gives you these talents. What are you doing to help somebody else? And not worrying about, oh man, I want to get paid for this. So it kind of started out back in my dance class. We had a woman, her son, were on a mission to go to Costa Rica, and two of the students had passed away in rip current. And so I was like, you know what? Bring your family to class. We're going to do 16 line dances in a row because he was 16 years old as an honor. And so then, like some of the other tragedies, like Sandy Hook, and we've always did some sort of tribute. And so with the art, I was like, man, I want to paint for somebody, make them feel better. And that's kind of how it started. There's so much reward out of doing this versus my own regular stuff. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't forgot how to draw my own stuff now. But
So what is your own stuff?
different topics. I've done a food series. They had an exhibit here, so I had 6 pieces that were here. It's pretty much all the same style, just a different, subject matter. And one of the things, so back in the 90s, everything that's going on, political climate, culture, country, it's the same stuff that's going on now. So all of my work back then was geared towards that. It was good work, but I didn't sell anything. One of it was like, yeah, it's a nice picture, but I don't think I would want that in my, front room, whatever. And so I left all that stuff behind years ago, and I choose to paint, happy themes, happy subjects. I'd rather it was a jazz theme, just, food thing, just something different that, just kind of just strikes up a conversation. Where you're not like, okay, this is such and such. So then you're talking to somebody else who maybe necessarily really want to talk to you. But art is a great conversation starter. Because everybody has a viewpoint on a lot of different things. And then 9 times out of 10, somebody's like, man, I used to draw when I was in high school too. And I'm like, okay, why stop?
Do you have a job too?
Yes, ma'am. I am a Renaissance man, so I work at a gym, which I came from, 9 Rounds Gym, a DJ on the side, personal train. So yeah, anything that involves not being in the office. I went to my wife's office one day, it's too quiet. Like, that's my voice. So I'm doing a drop off today, actually. Well, now we're going by Jason Jackson, who's a police officer. And one thing about cancer, man, sometimes it can hit you and you could live 1,000 years. Other cases where it just takes you out. I remember I saw his post, reached out to him, hey man, what's going on? So he told me what it was, and I was like, well, let me do a piece. He was sounding real positive, optimistic at the time. I was like, okay. So I dropped it off to him, his family, and he had his newborn son, which was still in the chair. We just had a good old time. And then a couple months later, I called. I was like, where you at, man? I was like, well, I'm down in Disney World with my family. It's like, oh, they got me ready so I can be able to make the trip. I didn't think nothing of it. And then we were all supposed to hang out, I think like that next week, but I didn't make it. And then the following week, I had seen that he was in the hospital. This was all over Facebook. And then I kind of realized that he had decided to stop treatments, like a month earlier. I was like, wow. Cherish the moments. And one of the things that I plan is when I hit 50, which will probably be next week, is to kind of have some sort of like gathering, get everybody together, especially ones that live here, just to be able to celebrate together and just thank them. And so our motto is, I don't paint about the diagnosis, I paint about the life of the diagnosed. And then anybody can nominate anybody. Literally, it's very simple. You can just email, ask for cards too. Email me, you tell me their story, you send a couple pictures, and I usually go from there. And a lot of times what's interesting is the pictures that they choose, they just choose random pictures, but for some reason those pictures, they tell a lot. Like, some artists can look at a picture and be like, wow, I can see, way back then, and you picture like, wow, you seen all that? Because my thing is, I may know what you're gonna get out of it, but I want you to experience it. So when you do tell me what you're feeling about the painting or what you got out of it, a lot of times I'm like, that's what I want. And so I started taking my wife on me on the reveals, and she was blown away. It's like, see, now you see why I'll be tired afterwards. It's real heavy. So yeah, Strokes for Life Arts. The goal is to be international. I applied for a grant, and also everything is donation based. So it's only a matter of time somebody says, hey, I have an extra $1 million laying around. Here you go. I believe in what you're doing. So yeah.
So are you organized as a 501c3 nonprofit yet?
Not yet, because that's a process. You got to get board members and all that. But yeah, through that grant, it was a good grant. It's like a $10,000 grant. So I'll find out in December. It looks promising. We may get it. But also we've been getting some nice donors, because I allow them, whether it's $10 or $1,000 because every little bit helps. Because, paintbrushes go old after a while. So, yeah. That is my purpose. Y'all have a gift. We should all use it to help others.
Were you written up in the Dispatch last year?
Yes.
I remember seeing that story when I see your paintings. I remember that, yeah.
That is I. That is me. That is me.
Very distinctive.
Thank you.
I do have a comment. Basically this, when you said that art is a good conversations piece, that is good at starting conversations, I have to wholeheartedly agree with that simply because my branch of art is hyper-realism. And sometimes I'm drawing on the public transport, particularly the bus, And whenever I do, there's people that see it and then they start a conversation. So I agree. You got a point there.
And it's interesting that you say that because there's a couple of young artists. One guy, he works at the gym, and so he's at the comic book stage of being an artist. Most artists, we all start the same. We start tracing, and we start drawing little action figures and things like that, like rites of passage. And so one day he was explaining to me what his style was. I said, stop right there. I said, it's not your job to explain, all the ins and outs of your style. I want you to allow them to get what they're going to get out of it. Because it may be something completely different that you don't really think about. Somebody said to me one person, oh man, it look like a comic book. I was like, yeah, you know what, yeah. Even though my mind was like, okay. So yeah, allow people to get that interpretation. It's kind of like going to a store. You want to be able to look around in the store without being hassled. Well, this shirt is 100% round, cotton, blah. You're like, okay. I look at the shirt by myself. Yeah. Telling you, arts is a healing tool. Unfortunately, it's one of the first things that gets cut. A lot of schools and programs and stuff like that because people need an expressive outlet. I know it helped me.
Have you ever done anything with any schools?
Actually, yes. I did a workshop at Columbus Academy, and we picked a music theme. I had jazz music playing. I said, whatever instrument you hear, I want you to draw that instrument. And the ones with a great musical ear, they were hearing stuff. I was like, how did you hear an accordion out of that? And so I had them draw it out, and literally the same concept that I do mine. I had them fold paper up, and then I had them draw them on like a small board, and then they painted it. Because I have to teach the same way I learn. Like some people can do like polar opposites, I can't do that. Same exact way. And they loved it. I encouraged some of them, like, hey, you're good at this. Think about going into art or think about going into engineering or architecture. Everybody should be in some form of arts. Whether it's just a hobby, whether it's just release, or really trying to make it, take it further down the line. So yeah.
What inspired you to take this approach to art?
It's kind of individuality, not wanting to be like everyone else. I wanted something to be unique and stick out. So while everybody is buying, let's say, Air Jordans, I'm going to buy the shoes that are under Air Jordans that look a little different than somebody else's. And it's the same concept with a lot of different artists. Because I go over there, I remember where there was no social media, there wasn't so a lot of times you really had to rely on your own, curiosity. Whether it was, making up imaginary games with sticks outside as a kid. Same concept.
I have some comments about cancer. I have been reading articles and books about cancer remedies, and I can read Japanese language and also read English. So my articles and books are both from United States as well as Japan, and I found very astounding facts about cancer. Particularly in Japan, there's some movements among some medical doctors saying that cancer patients don't have to die at all. And it's amazing because in the United States, the medical treatments of cancer is perhaps world top, but nonetheless it's most expensive, and yet the survival rate is not that high. And we can say that comparing to those in Mexico and also Germany. And Mexico and Germany are perhaps most advanced, not in the therapies, but in terms of the survival rates. And one reason of Mexico is their regulations are much less stricter than the United States. So they are more liberal in using the new and less expensive therapies, which are mostly prohibited in the United States. And a similar thing is in Germany. In Germany, the cancer hospitals can use much wider choices of cancer therapies and do more effective job. And I'm not sure how many people know about this, but President Ronald Reagan was cancer, and he went to Germany to cure his cancer. How many people know this? I don't know, but but anyhow, that's, and also other fact is in the United States, obviously effective and less expensive therapies are mostly prohibited, and those who insisted to do good work were even killed. Actually, record shows some 21 researchers and medical doctors who were involved in such study were murdered or killed. So that's one record. Okay? And the other side, which is very interesting in Japan, is there are some interesting methods have been proposed. For instance, very simple method like taking a bath every day, okay, which is very hot, like 42 centigrade C. I don't know how to translate that in Fahrenheit at this moment, but it's very, very hot bath. And human cells are killed at 44 centigrade, so 2 degrees lower than that temperature. And if one gets into such hot baths every day, or maybe even a few times a day, cancer may be cured by itself. And that's one thing. And also recently, one method which is to use alternating electric magnetic therapy. That's just a magnet which is attached to the body close to the location of cancer, and that cures cancer itself, and there is no side effect at all. So there are many such methods, okay? And I was so much intrigued, and I was even thinking to write a book informing about such existing methods of curing cancer, but it's not the easy thing because it is even dangerous. If I am successful in publishing it, I may be cured. So that's very dark side about cancer. But anyhow, it's not related to arts at all, so I'll stop here. But I just wanted to share.
Yeah, you do hear about different things because, like I said, we cover so many different subject matters, whether it was typical murder, suicide, mental illness, brain cancer, lung cancer, you know, loss of a pet, different things like that. So lots of times you hear different things as far as afterwards, like, okay, especially with mental illness, like, oh, you know, well, you're gonna talk to somebody, or, you know, this medication, that medication. Every now and then you'll find ones that are really, really, really like big proponents and talk about that. And then you just tell them, like, hey, you know what? That's good information. But my thing is just kind of just celebrate, you know, that person. Because even like at Race for the Cure, you know, there's a lot of hoopla about whom and whatever and whatnot. But I'm like, well, this is a whole bunch of cancer survivors. They're out here celebrating together. And that's what, you know, I like to, you know, just, you know, focus on. This is, you know, their moment, whatever, you know, kind of walk it is. And that's the big thing, just to kind of keep them separated from just everything that they're going through. And a lot of times, one lady, I gave her one of the big paintings. She has an organization called Christians Overcoming Cancer. And what she does is, because a lot of times when you're going through cancer, you're in the hospital, which is taking away from your bills and stuff that are still at your house. So what she does, she helps individuals get those, they take care of the bills and stuff for them, you know, while they're on the mend. Because one thing, you've been in the hospital for 3 months, you kind of get back on your feet, then you go home, and now you got extra stress on you because of all the bills and stuff that are piled up. So you come across a lot of different people, and, you know, it's opened up doors. It's putting me in different places that maybe I didn't necessarily think, because sometimes we can have one track mind, like, oh, no, they're not going to take me seriously, whatever. But putting you in different places, putting you before different people, and that's the beauty of it. Like, wow, even like, you know, everybody in this room, like everybody here is like around 21 years old and stuff, and so.
Yeah, right.
In our minds.
There you go. Even man with